Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is, I want to talk about specifically the TRX or T-Rex. That's the new Dodge off-road adapted pickup truck. They're 1500 series or half-ton truck series adapted for off-road to basically compete head-to-head with the Ford Raptor. I wanted to say something at the front end before we dive in and start looking at the truck specifically compared to the Cybertruck. I keep hearing people talk about how Legacy Auto, once they get in, they're really going to compete with Tesla. And what I want to point out in this video is this is the state-of-the-art, cutting-edge, most advanced truck design that we have as far as a high-performance truck. They're doing everything they can do to outcompete one another. And what we're going to look at today is the best of what they have to offer. That's, I think, important to keep in mind. And I think there's a bit of irony with this, which is that both the Raptor and the T-Rex are named after dinosaurs. Feels very like Freudian to me that they've named their high-performance vehicles after dinosaurs. So I think that's kind of funny. In that, I would say the Cybertruck is a meteor headed for their business. They start out 702 horsepower, 650 pound-feet of torque, 4.5 seconds 0 to 60 time. This starts at $70,000. This vehicle starts at the price of a tri-motor. So it's real easy for me to say you got to compare this to a tri-motor because it's the same price. You're already talking about faster. This was Motor Trend's attempt to try and estimate what the tri-motor would be capable of producing in terms of horsepower and pound-feet of torque based on extrapolating from other vehicles. And they, in their opinion, the Cybertruck tri-motor is going to have around 800 horsepower and 1,000 pound-feet of torque. So we go back to here, and it's 25% better than the T-Rex. So right off the bat, now they came out in their reveal and they were saying, this is the fastest, highest performance pickup truck that's out there. It's like everyone's ignoring the fact that both Rivian and Tesla are going to have pickup trucks delivered at the end of next year that are going to be better than this. So their reign of the highest performance pickup truck is going to last all of 6 months. That is a half a second faster. It's all the stats are slightly better than the Raptor. So you got the, engine with a zillion moving parts. And this is I believe this is a 6-cylinder turbo. Here we go. Ground clearance, 11.8 inches versus the Cybertruck 16 inches. Now we don't have front and rear suspension travel yet. Early on, Motor Trend did an article where they said it looked like it had every bit of 12 inches, but we don't have official suspension travel. And I'm not going to explain why that's important here. But they have this proprietary active suspension system by Bilstein. It's a nitrogen charged bypass system. If you don't know suspensions, it's high performance. It's got electronic feedback so it can adjust the dampening and the compression like we talked about last week with the Cybertruck. This suspension, if it delivers, should be better than the Raptor suspension, maybe better than the Cybertrucks. My biggest worry about the Cybertruck is the suspension. And it's not that it's going to be bad, but it's that I'm not sure if it will operate at the same level of performance as these really high performance off-road suspensions. It's not horrible unless you're doing extreme off-roading, high speed stuff. You're not even really going to be able to tell. But that is one of my concerns. Now, I'm hopeful with Tesla's emphasis on making this very off-road capable that they're going to deliver on that. But TBD. It's a little harder for whatever reason to do that with air suspension than it is to do it with the nitrogen gas and hydraulic suspensions. Okay, so they have dynamic drive modes. This is going to be standard. This is standard in all the high performance off-road specific trucks nowadays. You can adjust basically your traction control setting for the type of terrain that you're on. Now, wide fenders, it's very wide, maybe even slightly wider than the Raptor, which is already 3 inches wider than the F-150. Look at the buttons. I mean, my God. I'm not saying I'm totally 100% sold on the Cybertruck just having the monitor. And that's one criticism you hear about Teslas is like, people are like, it would be nice to have a few buttons. I have a Tacoma, and for the Tacomas and the 4Runners, which are very off-road oriented vehicles, Toyota actually on their TRD Pro series, they have less electronics. And the reason is when you're driving these things really hard in hard conditions, all of these electronics, all these buttons has a tendency to you get dirt in all the cracks because you're driving with your windows open, dust is coming in, and all of a sudden you have dust in all the little seams of the buttons. It's really irritating, and then that can get in and it can affect how the buttons react. It just looks insane to me. Maybe, I suppose some people like this. This just looks like, good God, what is going on? Okay, I like this. I really want the Cybertruck to have this as an option. Sandy Monroe's talked about it. He's remarked on how ideal the flat glass is for creating a HUD and projecting a HUD. And if they won't do it, I hope that they will. This is one thing I really want them to do. I really want them to be able to have an app store where we can get third-party Bluetooth connected devices that can do things like HUDs. We talked a little bit about integrating additional cameras. There's a lot of things we could do if Tesla doesn't want to do it. Like, okay, make it so that through an app store, third-party electronics can sort of either feed into or project out from or provide data from the computer. 5'7" bed as opposed to the 6.5-foot bed of the Cybertruck. This is going to be, notice what we didn't see anywhere. You notice what specs they didn't talk about? They didn't mention payload, and they didn't mention towing, which is, as I've said over and over and over again, the sacrifice that internal combustion vehicles make when they go hardcore towards something that's off-road capable. They put these really soft suspensions in, and all of a sudden, so their payload, 1,300 pounds. 1,310 pounds versus the Cybertruck's 3,500. And their towing capacity, 8,100 pounds versus the tri-motor, which is 14,000. I guarantee you once we do the full comparison where I go through and I do all the numbers, it's going to be the Cybertruck value proposition is so far superior to everything that they're making. I don't want to say it's over because I don't want it to be over, but man, outside of the aesthetics, I think it's a cool looking truck. Again, Dodge is not known for having, as far as reliability goes, they're usually at the bottom of the reliability list. They usually depreciate the fastest. They're not known for building super, at least Ford is known for having pretty good build quality on their vehicles. Okay, so I wanted to just show you, check this out, guys. I didn't even add all the options, $92,000. So if you want to have, this adds some things you can't get in the Cybertruck, like it adds cooled, ventilated seats. I don't think Teslas have that. At least I thought they didn't have that. They don't have the cross-traffic sensor, which, why? Come on, get it together, Tesla. You're doing full autonomy, but you don't have cross-traffic alert. That seems silly. That's the one feature other automakers have that the Cybertruck or Tesla doesn't have. If you want to get it outfitted to be similar to a Cybertruck, you're looking at $80,000 to $90,000. And that's before you start adding things like the tonneau cover. That's just to get their version of autopilot, the lame version of autopilot. And the leather seats and keyless remote starting, which I know Teslas don't start, but you can heat it up remotely, that kind of stuff. So to get it to match, you have to be somewhere in 80 to 90,000 just to get the base price. And that's with the advanced driver assistance that the Cybertruck will have standard. So then if you get autopilot, they can't even give you autopilot. It's so not even fair. It's not even fair. How much more capable and low cost and high mileage and all that stuff that the Cybertruck's going to be. If this is the best that Legacy can do, it's going to be they're going to have a rough road to hoe, especially if Rivian gets spun up. I think between Rivian and the Cybertruck, there's not a lot of advantages these high performance internal combustion vehicles have.